we don't, do we say this about other diseases? I don't know. Or do we say it as frequently about other diseases? I don't know. But cancer always seems to be something which, the word terminal, death sentence, battle, win, loss, all these things just carry so much baggage and so much weight.
Do you think it had more of an effect on you psychologically than it had on your mother?
Good question. No, I think the initial diagnosis was, I think everyone freaked out. After that, I continued to probably be more affected by the words and language of cancer, yes, more than others.
Yeah,
that's true.
Because sometimes we feel like the person who's actually going through it has a very strong support system. Their medical team plays a very big role over there. And then you have, basically, especially in India, we kind of give up everything and then all our energy is on that one person, right? And
Right.
many a times it's actually the caregivers that are that go through a lot. I've seen this with my own family as well. And we spend our time researching and we are actually bombarded by these words more than anyone else. So you end up kind of also trying to understand how this is going to play out, so these kind of words associated with it already starts putting the trajectory in front of you to kind of make it seem that this is now we're going to fight this battle. And
Yes.
when you spoke to me and you wrote to me and you said, why do we use these words, it made me also question it, and like I'd rightly told, I had told you last time that we spoke, that even with me, when we started CARER, we were using clients. We weren't even comfortable by using the word patient, right? But then that caused confusion because you're dealing with the medical fraternity as well. So we had to, then it just became a confusion. And then you also just, when you get into the field, you also just become very frivolous with the language that's used with it. So
Right.
I actually, when you wrote to me, I actually turned around and thought to myself that, yeah, he's so right. Even I've been using it very openly, because it's just the language that we're using. But how does this affect one? Like, how does it, what kind of a psychological effect does it have on a patient, on their family members? And we don't usually think of that,
And constant thing about fighting, I just don't know, do we talk about the fight to this extent with if you have heart disease, or if you have diabetes or anything like that? Is this constant language around fighting?
Yeah.
So
why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that this has become like this? Do you think that it's just a lack of knowledge, or do you think that it has been construed in such a way? Because I was just talking to a doctor just a couple of days ago, and he said, listen, I asked him, I said, I don't know if you know Dr. Siddhartha Mukherjee, but he came up with a brilliant book,
Emperor of the Maladies. Yeah.
And at the end, he speaks about how cancer is going to become like a chronic disease, and I kind of brought this up with the doctor, and he said, no, it's already become a chronic disease. You just learn to live with it. That's the deal now, like you do with heart disease, like you do with other chronic diseases, diabetes, so on and so forth. So it's already taken that stage, and it's already something that is very manageable to a certain degree. I'm not saying that it's life-threatening, but it is manageable. I've seen it personally myself. So,
right.
So do you feel like it's just been construed in such a way to create panic amongst people, and there's some sort of the medical fraternity that plays a role in something like this, or do you just think that it's just coming from a lack of knowledge? Because it was once extremely deadly and life-threatening, and so people have just stuck to that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know I think we have a doctor on the panel coming up, so I'd love to divert that, your question to her. But I don't know where it's come from, but I think we need to figure out a way to demystify it, because especially given the fact that it is a serious disease and no one's making any bones about that, it can be life-threatening. Therefore, everyone needs all the tools at their disposal to deal with it. And there's no point having confusing, conflicting, aggressive kind of language, which puts everyone into a kind of a strange spot. And like I said, you don't say these things about other things. which are equally serious, if not. And it works. It cuts both ways. What happens if you have a really serious, like motor neuron disease or something like that, which is not cancer? Well, they don't get the same kind of. Uh, uh, so I'm saying it cuts both ways. Maybe for them, they must be feeling that, listen, I've got a serious disease too, but everyone seems to be hung up about cancer on the big C. So I'm saying that it's both ways. One, for the people going through cancer and their families, and two, for maybe other diseases which are as serious, if not more serious. And just the fact that we don't uh, use words like that to describe them. Maybe there's some kind of a weird bias at play, and I don't know what the reasons for that are. In fact, I was just looking at the word malignant, and you know what the word malignant actually means?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, malignant literally means evil in nature. It means
Wow.
likely to. Yeah, the word comes from likely to rebel against God, and the literal meaning of malignant in Latin or Greek or whatever is born to be bad.
Wow.
So we're using, yes. So yes, I think the medical fraternity should take the lead and figure out whether some of these words can just be we can go easy and take it a bit light when we're dealing with something which is anyway so serious.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like have this stigma around having a disease which is evil in nature and which is obviously like blasphemous, because if you're rebelling against God, and born to be bad. If they're your own selves, how is it that they're born to be bad?
Exactly. Do you feel like if the entire terminology and language around it is very different, as it is for, say, another chronic disease, do you think for you it would have been a different journey mentally?
See, I think I didn't answer your question initially. I think there's definitely ignorance around it, and ignorance creates fear, of course. So yes, I think we have to also become more aware and self-aware. I think when I spoke to my friends abroad, for example, my university friends, they never reacted the same way about the cancer diagnosis as my friends in India did. In the sense that, or not just friends in anyone in India did. So I also think that maybe it's becoming a little bit more understandable in the West, maybe. And I don't know whether we're still slightly behind on this in terms of the fact that we just don't, the average person, we don't want to know enough about it because we're scared.
Yeah.
That's it. Why? Even till today, I've not read a single paper or journal about my mom's cancer. I leave it to my sister. I leave it to other members of the family, or we just go with the doctor's advice. We trust in him. I just don't have the strength to go through those kinds of papers. So I'm nowhere better positioned today than I was 2 years ago. There's no way. I'm still as freaked out by all these terms as I was when the diagnosis happened.
And the funny thing is that, like I was telling you, that so are people who have absolutely no connection to cancer. There are people who I've met who are actually, have never had a family member go through it, don't know anyone who's gone through it. Basically a stranger to the entire concept, who have turned around and said that, listen, let's not even talk about it, because it's depressing and it's scary, and I've questioned my own family and friends. I'm in the field. I don't think I'm ever asked about a patient or about details of my work. They're like, is work okay? Are you doing okay? And that's about it. If I even were to step in to talk about, hey, this is what I experienced with a patient, or this is what it's almost like, Samara, it's too depressing. Let's not talk about this. It's too scary. I don't want it around my vicinity, and that's so sad. That's so sad.
It is, and it can happen to anyone. So I think the avoidance, and I'm telling this as much to myself, the avoidance route is not the answer, because it just makes it even more scary.
Yeah.
That's, I think, so coming back to your question, part of it is for us to get more familiarized and acclimatized with it, especially since it seems to be something that's taking, as we're living longer lives and life expectancy is going up, it's something we're going to have to live with, like you said. So that's part of our responsibility. But two is, yes, I would hope that organizations like yours and startups, as well as the medical fraternity, will understand, that what the words that they use can be very, very confusing. I'll give you another example, and it's not only to do with cancer, but when you say a biopsy is positive and a biopsy is negative, actually positive is negative and negative is positive.
Yeah.
Right? So now it's something as simple as that.
Yeah.
I know you can say that for any blood test, but I'm just giving another example that these things have become so ingrained. We use it so, it's so regularly that we don't think that actually it's confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely right. It's become like jargon, and that's, I think that, so a lot of the times, right? So a lot of the patients come to us and they're like, listen, we don't even know, like we listen to 10 minutes of what the doctor says and then it's kind of just goes over our head because we don't even know what we're talking about. I mean, what they're talking about. And so it's like jargon to us. And that jargon, or the confusion that lies within that is almost, it's scary in its own way, right? Because you're like, okay, what is going on with me, and I don't even understand these terms. So I think it comes to even that. I remember I was in New York and I met a woman who was a breast cancer survivor. And she said, I had gone through cancer, whatever. And instinctively I turned around and I said, oh, I'm so sorry. And she turned around, she looked at me, she said, please don't say sorry. It's one of the best things that ever happened to me. And I remember feeling really foolish, and I was like, because without even thinking, I just turned around and I just said, I'm so sorry. And the way she responded, so you're very right about even different countries and the way people take it personally and the way people react to it, as opposed to me even having my own family and friends who don't really want to talk about it in detail with me.
Right.
Where someone about actually turned around and she's like, it was a blessing in disguise. And often it is. I don't want to kind of, make it seem like, it's like a very, like a simple journey that someone goes through, but I have seen people change substantially post-cancer for the better.